Hello.
Hello. Hello. Okay. Take two. I am a college student. I go to Cascade College right now in Portland, Oregon, and I know far too well every student's plight with high tuition costs and high textbook costs. Textbooks are the thing that we need, yet they pull all of our money out of us by the end of the school year. According to the 2004 PIRG survey, students in Oregon and California on average pay $898 per year for textbooks. This is such a high amount, and on average every textbook is $102.44. So that means by the end of the year you've paid at least $1,800 in textbooks, and that means by the end of your college career you paid at least $3,600 in textbook funds, in addition to your tuition costs, in addition to your debt costs. So there has to be a way to get this number down, or else it will continue to be something that students struggle with. In California, recently, Senator Ellen Corbett has proposed the College Textbook Affordability Act. Her main motivation for this is that she was a student at U of I down there, and she knows what it's like to buy textbooks, and she knows what it's like to be a poor student and buy textbooks. So since she's in a position where she can help, she proposed these bills. And the College Textbook Affordability Act provides faculty with a price list of all the books in a subject area, so they can know how much their students have to pay for these textbooks to learn from their classes. And if they know that, then maybe they won't be so quick to order these textbooks, or maybe make it up in another area. And also this act provides faculty with an estimate of how long the publishers will keep this book around, or this edition around, because far too many times have students bought the 6th edition of a book and the next year it flips around to the 7th edition of the book, or even the next semester, and they then have to buy the same book again for a higher price. So it's good if the faculty knew that information ahead of time to guard their students. This act would also provide faculty with a list of the changes that the new editions may have. Sometimes these new editions have changes that we need to buy, and sometimes they're just a change in a chapter, or a change in a few words, or more pictures on a different page. So depending on that information, if the faculty knows that information, then they can judge whether they can just make it up in their classes to their students, or whether the students really need to buy that expensive textbook. And all this information can be made available online to the faculty and to the students, so it won't be such a surprise, the prices or the edition contents, when they do get it. And another act that was proposed in California was the College Textbook Transparency Act. And this would just require the publishers to print on or in the textbooks what's so new about the textbooks, and compared to the other edition that was out before. So this would also help the students and the faculty to gauge whether they even need that textbook, and then they can just deal with the small minor changes. And then it also requires that the faculty can be provided with a copy of this information as well. If they don't want to go online, if they don't want to get the book, they can write in and they can be sent to them. And there would also be made available online wholesale prices of the books as compared to just the retail prices. So they could maybe order them in bulk and then sell them at a different price, what have you, just to keep the cost down for their students. If these acts were passed, it could have a ripple effect around our nation, because what happens in California usually happens around the nation, because it's such an influential state. But to tie it all in, Cascade College is located in Portland, Oregon, and Cascade doesn't have a on-campus bookstore. Instead, they partnered with Moyer's Family Bookstore, which is right down the street from them. It's a convenient little walk from your dorm. When you go online to look at your textbook for Cascade, there's a link that goes directly to Moyer's Bookstore, and you can then order it online, or you can go right in and just get your textbook. They have all the textbooks you need. They will not run out. The only drawback is that it's the latest edition, and it's the most expensive price. And since they're a small store, they can't really lower their prices because they don't have the money to move around to make it more available or discounted for their students, or for the students coming in. So an alternative to Moyer's Bookstore would be Powell's Bookstore, which is bigger, and they do a lot of reselling of their books. A lot of students are around Portland. It's a big college city, so a lot of students have textbooks, and they often go in and sell them, and you can go in and buy them back as a student, and it's usually a cheaper price because it's used. So that's an alternative that the students have, and that I've used, and that I found to be very helpful. Another alternative to that would be web-based book selling or buying. If you go to Amazon.com or textbooks.com or half.com, you're more liable to find books at a far cheaper price than you would in Moyer's Bookstore. They do have the newest edition, but they also have other people who've used that book and that are now selling it back at a lower price. This greatly benefits students, because if you're going to pay $50 for a book, you can also get it on there for $25 or half of that. Just depends who you're buying it from. And the availability of that is very high because it won't run out. The only thing is it may run out in your price range that you want, but then you can also pay an extra $5 or maybe an extra $10 and get the same book, but it won't be anywhere near the full price of it. The only thing with this is that you do need to know what your classes are ahead of time, so you can order your books, and when the time your classes starts, you can have your books. This is a great thing to do. I've done it, and it's saved me a lot of money and a lot of time as well. And then other alternatives that other campuses around the nation have been doing is renting textbooks. It's much like you would do in high school or middle school, where you sign up for your book, and then you get it, you return it back at the end of the school year. This is a great thing to do with smaller schools, I would suggest. But the only problem you'd run into is people damaging the books, highlighting in it, not taking care of it properly. Then you would have to buy a new textbook as a college. But this is great for students, and it would cut down on their college costs. Another thing that students do or have is an organized book swap, where they swap books back and forth that they may need for the next semester, and there's no cost to it because you're just bringing books around the campus, which is a great thing to do. And then the last alternative is just students outright buying their books and then selling it to another student at the end of the year. I've done that. It's a great thing to do. You can usually get more money for it, more money back for it. But when you try to do the buyback program with Moyer's, you may get 5 to 10% of what you paid for the book in the first place. If you go to Powell's, you may get 20, 25%, or 50% of what you paid for the book in the first place. And if you sell it to someone, then you can get more. And then if you sell it online, it really depends on who wants to buy it from you. But usually someone will buy it from you online, because someone may want a later edition, or someone just may want your edition of the textbook. So it all works out. But I would say that the best alternative for Cascade College is to go to Powell's and to look online. Usually I will go to Powell's first, and if Powell's doesn't have it, I'll usually buy something online. So I would say, in comparison to the one bookstore, Moyer's, who sell the highest price for the newest things that you may not even use again, that you can't sell back at a high price, I'd say Pals and the web-based are good alternatives for a Cascade College. That's 9 minutes too.
10 minutes, I was on there, I'll try one.
Oh. I thought I was talking faster.
It isn't faster. I think you need to cut some, because at the end with Cascade,
Yeah.
you kind of repeat. If you do Cascade